Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on another project for the Corvette. I know you guys thought that this build series was done, but I actually kind of have a couple more mods to do. This one is mostly to do with cooling. And you guys might be wondering, well, don't you already have cooling fans and all that stuff on there? Well, the problem is that the Edelbrock coolant system for the Supercharger is very weak and anemic. And what I mean by that is, I'll show you guys the stock system, guys, and go over here. The problem, as you guys can see, is this tank is super small. It only holds like 1 or 2 quarts of coolant, and for a supercharger system, you want as much coolant as you can get, and this tank is super tiny. And the second problem is the location. I've hated the design and location of this. It literally sits around the battery. So every time you have to take the battery out, you have to basically take the fuse panel box off, because there's a bolt that attaches into there, and then there's a bolt that you have to go underneath the car, move the wheel underneath the car through the fender and into the hood latch assembly, and so there's another bolt there, and so it just makes it a super pain in the ass working on the car. If I ever have to take the battery out, disconnect the cables. The negative terminal for the battery is routed like right literally underneath that plastic tank, and it's just a bad design because you're clamping down on where the battery has to, you know, the wiring for the battery, and like I said, small, real small design of how much fluid that thing can hold. And it also doesn't give you the ability to put like any ice in there, you know. So if I was running like at the drag strip, if I was running a distilled water and a water wetter setup for the supercharger coolant to cool down the blower system, you know, you can't add any ice to it, you can't cool down the system, and it's just a real bad design. I really think Edelbrock should have come up with something different, but I understand, like, this is specifically to the non-Grand Sport models with the non-dry sump, with the wet sump, because all of these cars have the battery right here, and also the convertible manuals have the battery right here as well with the Grand Sport. So the Z06, the manual hardtop Grand Sport, and the ZR1 all have the dry sump, so they got that tank right there, and the battery's in the trunk. So as you guys can see, I'm going to have to move the battery, and that will be another video that I've got in the information card above. I will have already moved that. Just at the beginning of this project, we're starting a little bit early, so I have to move the battery, and that's going to go in the trunk. You guys might be wondering what I am going to replace that small little 2-quart tank with. Well, you guys might remember a while back I had the power steering tank from Moroso that was silver, that aluminum, that raw aluminum finish, had it powder coated. I'll have a link in the description above for that on the information card. Well, I said I had 2 items powder coated, and here's the second item. This is a coolant tank for a supercharged car from Moroso as well. And as you guys can see, this thing is huge compared to that little plastic tank that's a real big piece of crap. I hate to talk down to any of the stuff up from Edelbrock, but for this first part of the project, we're doing the coolant tank upgrade. And as you guys can see, this is a fully TIG welded tank. I believe it's 1.75 gallons. Yeah, it's over a gallon. I don't think it's 2. I think it's like 1 3/4 gallons. And it's all aluminum. And I had the outside powder coated. Now to take that apart and get it powder coated, all I had to do was remove the cap, and there's a rubber gasket in it. So take the bolts out for that, and it's ready to get coated. I would have left it just in the raw aluminum, but since I was getting that other tank powder coated, I took it with me because I wasn't sure what my guy was going to charge. 15 bucks for powder coating. That thing's going to look freaking awesome. Way more stealth under the hood of the car than a big shiny aluminum tank. And as I kind of showed earlier, I'd replaced the really crappy brass fittings. These are actually all Frigola Performance black AN-12 fittings. Now I will say one thing about those fittings. I had a heck of a time getting the right ones. I ordered the wrong size, I can't measure, just a lot of crap. But finally, after like 2 weeks, I finally got the correct fittings. And the bottom one, as you can see, is just a 1/2 inch NPT to 12-12, and it's got a 90-degree fitting. And on the end of these fittings, it's just a -12 push lock. These are also from Frigola, and the hose size basically converts to a 3/4 inch. And that 3/4 inch is going to be your standard size for basically a heater core hose. So, and they sell those hoses in bulk at AutoZone. I'll have all the part numbers in the link below, and I might be able to find that hose online. If I do, I'll include the part number, like I said, below. And yes, guys, I could have gone with a little bit cheaper route instead of getting the adapters, just going from, you know, the standard like 45-degree fitting. The problem is that I wasn't sure if they swivel or not, and I want these to be able to move. And by going this way with kind of the more bulky connector on both of them, these both swivel. So this one moves up and down, and this one will move up and down. So as you can see, it's turning. So to get this install started, I'm going to put some thread sealant paste on the edge of those adapters and get everything set up. Alright guys, to make sure that this seals up properly, I'm going to put a little bit of some thread sealant from Loctite, like I was saying. This is number 565. I've used this in fuel fittings, so it should be perfectly fine for coolant. And basically, just make sure you put enough on here. Matter of fact, this is actually probably too much. In this case, a little goes a long way. You basically just want to make sure that it's covered all the way around. And as I learned from the other one, probably going to want it to be more on the bottom than the top, because I thought these threaded fittings would go in further, but as you guys can see right here, that thread didn't go more than like a quarter of the way in, and it's tight. Like I tightened it all the way down, and it's just not going to go all the way in. So put more of the thread sealant on the bottom than the top in the middle. Then we're simply just going to screw this in and go from there. Alright guys, so we have the black AN fittings on here. For this piece, you're going to have, like I said earlier, the -12 out. That's just going to go straight. And this will connect to this 90-degree out. So basically the bottom line, that is going to connect to, there's a line coming into the plastic tank on the bottom, so this will connect to that one. And I believe that one connects to the pump, you know, the CTSV style electric water pump down in the front bumper. I believe that's where that one connects. And then for this top one will connect to the top line, and this line goes right into the supercharger on the passenger side. And we'll angle it something like that. So your coolant will come in through the top from the supercharger, and then it'll go, you know, it'll drain into the tank. The tank will constantly get coolant through it, and then the line on the bottom will be your output. This will come out, and then this will go down to the pump, and that's what will keep this whole cycle moving, is that this will go to the pump, this will come from the supercharger, this will go to the pump, feed the pump, and keep the whole system circulated and moving. And then here's the little brass hose fitting for the drain for the tank. We'll put that right in here. I'm going to clean up these threads first, put new sealant on it, and put it back in. Now, you could get a block off plug that's in black and just put it on here, but honestly guys, you're not going to see this. This is going to be hidden literally right next to the fuse box, like literally will be right here, so you won't see that. And the last question you guys might have is, how are we going to mount this? Quite simply guys, we're going to take the battery tray out of the car, cut the back edge of it, and then mount this to the battery tray. This whole tank fits perfectly in that battery tray except for the length. So from end to end, it's actually too long for the battery tray. So there's a lip that goes, that pops up on the battery tray that wraps around. We'll Dremel that lip off. This will overhang, kind of actually how it's on the foam right here. probably like that. So we'll just Dremel that. So we'll just Dremel that lip off, and this will actually be held down by the factory GM battery tie down. All right, guys, I finished assembling the tank. As you can see, I have the drain petcock. I have the in and out lines on the side, and I also put the cap assembly back on, and I got all of these screws and the nuts in the bottom. Got these all put in, and I also put the cap back in, and this is how you're going to fill the ice tank. You put coolant in here, ice, whatever you really want, and that way it's sealed up. There's a rubber gasket here. There's a rubber gasket under all the bolts. So we should be good to go. Now, I will say the one thing that we might change is this red cap. I have seen Moroso ship this with a red cap. I've seen them ship it with a black cap. I may call them to find out if I could buy the black cap separately and just swap them. Because honestly, guys, the only thing red under my hood are the coil pack that I spray painted like a really long time ago. So I might end up, you know, swapping that out for the black one. I may not even be able to open it. I've seen that these caps are pretty universal, so if I just have a size, I could probably find the correct, like, aftermarket version of that cap. So we'll see. I'm just not sure what we'll be able to get. So there may be an update that in a future video, but that's pretty much going to be it for this part of the cooling project. I just wanted to make this first video dedicated just to the tank itself, with all the fittings and the sealant and all that stuff, and getting it powder coated, because I've seen people mention this on the Corvette forum, but honestly, guys, a lot of people went into detail. They're like, oh, here's the tank. So I wanted to get you guys a more in-depth, you know, overview of this ice tank. Anyways, if you guys want to help support the channel, I always have the 2 links in the description below. First link is to Teesprings for t-shirts and hoodies. Second link is to my eBay site. You can pick up any of the stickers, decals, keychains, and any parts that I've taken on the car, off the car that I'm selling. Those always end up on eBay, so look on those links below to help support the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. Thanks and have a great day.